Welcome back for part 4. Wait, let me just make sure. Yeah, part 4. So we'll see what happens after they just found out that Hollywood Heather went missing. Let's see. Oh no, I forgot to show you guys the picture from the last chapter. There it is. Okay, let's start the next chapter. Chapter 4, Cake to Case. What happened to Hollywood Heather? Nancy asked. All the girls were wide awake now. They were sitting on their sleeping bags and staring at the window. That's funny, George said. I went to the bathroom at 6:45 this morning. When I came back, the doll was on the windowsill. How do you know it was 6:45? Bess asked. I looked at the clock before I fell back to sleep, George explained. Did anyone see what happened to my doll? Deidre cried out. All heads shook back and forth. Then help me find her, Deidre pleaded. Nancy scrambled to stand up. She could see that one of the sleeping bags was empty. The basketball design on the bag told her it belonged to Trina. Hey, what happened? A voice asked. Nancy turned. She saw Trina walk into the room. Trina's eyes widened when Madison told her about the missing doll. Look everywhere, Deidre instructed. If you find Hollywood Heather, yell out at the top of your lungs. The girls searched the room for Hollywood Heather. They looked under tables, behind bookcases, even under sleeping bags. Nancy was about to look near the windows when she saw Cassidy. The little girl sat on top of her sleeping bag. She clutched a yellow and red backpack. The outside flap had a picture of the cartoon character, Artie the Aardvark, on it. Why isn't she looking for the doll? Nancy wondered. Tell your mom and dad, Deidre, Kendra said. Maybe they can help us look. I can't, Deidre said. I promised I'd take extra good care of Hollywood Heather. It's just a doll, Trina said. Just a doll? Deidre gasped. Is the Statue of Liberty just a statue? Is the Great Wall of China just a wall? Is Johnny Appleseed just an apple? He's not an apple, Indra said slowly. I think he planted apple trees or something. Whatever, Deidre cried. The girls looked for Hollywood Heather for half an hour, but she was nowhere to be found. If anyone in this room took Hollywood Heather, Deidre said, tell me now. The room was silent. Then Mrs. Shannon opened the basement door at the top of the stairs and called, Girls, breakfast is ready. They quietly climbed the stairs. Cassidy was still holding her Artie the Aardvark backpack. Why is she bringing her backpack to breakfast? Nancy wondered. Upstairs, everyone sat down at the Shannons' dining room table. Mr. and Mrs. Shannon served scrambled eggs and whole wheat toast. Nancy looked around the table as she ate. Deidre was picking at her eggs with her fork. Her best friend Madison was pretty quiet too. As Nancy reached for the strawberry jam, she noticed that Cassidy was leaning over her backpack as she ate. Bess, George, Nancy whispered, do you think maybe Cassidy took Hollywood Heather? Why do you say that? Bess asked. Cassidy won't let go of her backpack, Nancy said quietly, and she is sort of a pest, George finished. After breakfast, the girls went to the basement to collect their gear. Madison, Deidre asked her best friend, can you stay and help me look for Hollywood Heather? Can't, Madison said quickly. I have to go home and clean my room. Deidre frowned as Madison left the basement. When most of the other girls were gone, she looked sadder than ever. Don't worry, Deidre, Nancy said. Maybe the person who took Hollywood Heather will give her back soon. Sure, Bess said cheerily. Nancy even thinks she knows who took her. Bess, Nancy hissed. Please tell me, Nancy, Deidre said, shaking Nancy's arm. Who do you think took Hollywood Heather? I don't know for sure, Nancy said, so I don't want to say anything. Deidre looked disappointed. Suddenly her eyes lit up. I have a perfect idea, Deidre said. Why don't you find the person who took Hollywood Heather? Me? Nancy asked. You found the hidden goodie bag, Deidre said. And you're great at guessing things, Nancy, George said. You always guess the school lunch. You even guessed Marshmallow's name, Bess said. Yes, Nancy said. But come on, Nancy, George urged. Don't you want to solve a real-life mystery? You can't be like a detective, Bess said. A detective? I am pretty good at finding things and guessing things, Nancy thought. I do like reading mystery books and watching mystery shows on TV with Daddy. So maybe solving a mystery would be fun. Way fun. I can try, Nancy said, but I don't want to do it alone. Does anyone want to help? Bess's and George's hands flew up. I would if I could, Deidre said, but I have to practice my tap gymnastics and my recipe for Junior Chefs of American Club today. Do you think you know who took your doll, Deidre? Nancy asked. Deidre nodded. Trina was the only one who could reach the window, she said, and she came into the basement after the doll was missing. She was probably stuffing Hollywood Heather into her stinky gym bag. But Trina is your friend, Nancy said. Not your best friend like Madison, but still your friend. Maybe she wanted Hollywood Heather more than she wanted to be my friend, Deidre sighed. Nancy, Bess, and George stared at Deidre as she left the basement. Wow, George said. She's totally upset. I'm totally pissed, Bess said. We're going to solve a real-life mystery, guys. The three friends high-fived. Now that we're detectives, Nancy said, where do we start? Don't ask me, George laughed. I don't have a clue. Clue, Nancy exclaimed. That's it. The first thing we do is look for clues. Let's check the windowsill, Bess said. That's the last place Hollywood Heather was before she disappeared. They hurried to the window. It is high, George said. How would a little kid like Cassidy reach the doll? Nancy pointed to a bench nearby. She could have climbed up on that, she said. The bench wasn't very heavy. The three girls moved it under the window. Then they all climbed up on it. Nancy checked the window to make sure it was locked. It was. Next, she ran her hand along the windowsill. Instead of dust, there was some soft white fuzz all over it. Maybe it came from Hollywood Heather's poncho, Bess said. The wool was soft and fuzzy too. It was also green, George said. This stuff is white. Then what is it? Bess asked. Nancy exclaimed the wispy fuzz. I don't know, she said, but I think we just found our first clue. All right, well, we just finished chapter 4 of Nancy Drew the Clew Crew, and we are really getting to know this book, aren't we? It is a really cool book, you guys. Oh boy, what is wrong with these pockets? Oh, I was touching the wrong pockets. Alright, so I'm going to be doing part 5. Oh my god, these pockets are tight. Alright, so I'm going to be doing part 5 in just a minute. And what time is it now? 11:33. Alright, but until I see you guys, stay safe and healthy. Bye-bye.